Welcome to the Sneaky Link. Thank you for being here. In part one of this series, I will be documenting the executive orders given by Trump. Today, we are discussing the topic of transgender identity in prisons and the military, passport restrictions, and what's next. Please hit the like button on the way in and share if you care. Don't forget to hit that notification bell to be notified about the next video. Trump is rolling back protections for transgender Americans and terminating diversity, equity, and inclusion programs within the federal government. Both are major shifts for the federal policy and are in line with Trump's campaign trail promises. There were two orders submitted as of today. One order would declare the federal government would recognize only two immutable sexes, male and female, and they are to be defined based on whether people are born with eggs or sperm, rather than on their chromosomes according to the details of the upcoming order. Under the federal order, prisoners and shelters for migrants and rape victims would be segregated by sex as defined by the order, and federal taxpayer money could not be used to fund transition services. A separate order halts the DEI programs. Trump has also announced that the U.S. will stop issuing gender-neutral X passports. President Trump has ordered federal prisons to house inmates who are transgender women in men's facilities and halt medical treatments related to gender transition. The move was part of a wide-ranging executive order issued by Trump meant to limit government recognition of an individual's gender to their sex at birth, determined by having eggs or sperm. Trump also set restrictions on housing and health care for transgender prisoners in his previous term, but the new order was more far-reaching. Advocates on behalf of transgender people and inmates criticized the order, saying it would put them in danger. There will be rapes and physical assaults because policy, said Shannon Minter, legal director of the National Center for Lesbian Rights, which has represented transgender prisoners. It's also terrible for prisoner officials who right now have the authority to use discretion about what makes the most sense for the safety and the security of the facility. Mr. Trump's executive order, titled Defending Women from Gender Ideology, Extremism, and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government, appears to require the rehousing of only transgender women and not transgender men. Federal data shows that the transgender prisoners are 10 times as likely to report being sexually victimized than other prisoners. Under the Prison Rape Elimination Act, transgender status is one of the several factors considered when housing assignments are determined. The new executive order calls for those regulations to be amended as necessary. At the end of the Obama administration, the Bureau of Prisoners released new guidance that transgender prisoners be housed according to their gender identity in most cases. In President Trump's first term, it was revised to require housing according to biological sex, except in rare cases, but the first Trump administration did not consider the issue a central policy priority. President Biden Jr.'s administration restored the Obama guidelines. During the 2024 presidential race, a key part of Republican strategy was portraying Democrats as out of step with the mainstream on transgender issues. President Joe Biden administration restored the Obama's guidelines. During the 2024 presidential race, a key part of the Republican strategy was portraying Democrats as out of step with the mainstream on transgender issues. One widely aired Vice President Kamala Harris for supporting taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners as a candidate in the 2020 Democratic primaries. The order requires all gender transition medical care to cease, saying that no federal funds should be spent for any medical procedure, treatment, or drug for the purpose of conforming an inmate's appearance to that of the opposite sex. The Women's Libations Fund, which defines women based on sex at birth and advocates single-sex prisoners, called the directive a major victory. The group is challenging a California law that allows prisoners to request housing that aligns with their gender identity. It argues that the law violates the constitutional rights of female inmates who are not transgender, including the Eighth Amendment right to protect from cruel and unusual punishment. Several high-profile incidents have fueled the controversy. In 2022, a biological male housed at Rikers Island in New York City was convicted of raping a female inmate. A similar case in 2024 saw another biological male convicted of sexual assault in a California women's prison. Constitutional protections do not stop if a person is in prison or in jail or in immigration detention facilities. According to the Military Times, Trump repealed a rule established by former President Joe Biden that allows transgender people to openly serve in the U.S. military. During a speech, Trump said he intended to sign an executive order to get transgender out of the military. There are an estimated 9,000 to 14,000 individual transgenders serving in the armed forces. The new executive order was part given to undo Biden's policies. This paves the way for a new ban on military service. GOP lawmakers successfully included an amendment in the 5 defense policy bill that bans irreversible transgender care for minors in the military healthcare system. There will be more information to come as it pertains to transgender in the military services.
Engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Given the previous orders we discussed, there has been much controversy around sports and bathrooms and what's next in those areas. The current order does not issue a nationwide mandate on which bathrooms transgender people can use or which sports competitions they can participate in, though many states have passed laws in their areas. I will continue to update on this topic as things changes. For the next episode, I will be discussing diversity, equity, and inclusion. Stay tuned. Please hit the like button and share if you care. This shows your support for the channel and helps me get into the algorithm. Please remember that Bruce, William, Caitlyn, Jenner voted for Trump. She will now join a host of others who will fuck around and find out for 2025. See you in the next episode.